That's great, Charlie. Working with Waco was going to be a real privilege, and we certainly won't let you down. Just to check, this includes both packing and distribution? No problem.
No problem, the man said, and the die was cast. This is a short film about the rise and the fall of Summers Limited, but it could be any business in any industry which relies upon temporary labour to meet the peaks and the troughs of everyday business life. What price would you put on your reputation, and what lengths would you go to protect that reputation? Some people have asked me whether or not this film was born out of personal experience. Of course, I couldn't possibly comment.
Estelle, get hold of one of the agencies on our PSL, pronto.
PSL?
Preferred supplier list. Mind you, who isn't on our PSL these days, eh? Just ring Temptation Recruitment. They usually come up with the goods. At last, a contract with one of the big boys. I've worked 14 years for this. Summers has finally arrived. Old man Summers would be proud. God rest his soul. California, here I come.
Temptation Recruitment, Ricardo Morientes speaking. How can we help you this afternoon?
It's Estelle from Summers. Brian asked me to call you. Something about going to America, I think. I'll put you through.
Rick, Brian.
Hi, mate.
Look, I need a dozen extra bodies tomorrow. Can you do it?
No problem. Where do you want them?
At our factory just off the A14. It's packing and distribution. I take it you still have your licence?
Of course, no problem. How long will you want them?
I don't know. 6 weeks or so and then they're gone.
No problemo, Brian. I'll get onto it straight away. Yeah, what about that trip to the States then?
What trip to the States?
Hi, Rick.
Barry, you on your way back to the office?
On my way home, actually. Meeting up with the girlfriend to patch things up.
Well, never mind that. We need a dozen bods over to the Summers factory by 6 in the morning.
Well, it's nearly 5 now, and I've got to be out by 7.
Look, mate, this is important. Just make sure those guys are all present and correct at the gate, and get one of those payroll companies to pay them. It'll cost us less. Oh, and by the way, make sure they're on the PSL.
What PSL, Rick? Everyone's on our PSL. You were going to sort that out, weren't you?
Yeah, well, time is money, Bazza.
What about getting these guys registered?
Are you kidding me? There's no time for all that. Just round up the posse and we'll play catch-up.
Like we always do.
I'll pretend I didn't hear that.
Rick, we've got to be careful now that agency standards are sniffing around again.
You leave them to me, old son. I've seen them off before and I'll see them off again. Last time I got all the boys and girls to opt out, if you remember, by using that umbrella lot in Birmingham. Saved us a lot of hassle.
OK, no problem.
Barry?
Yes, Rick?
This could be a biggie, so don't let me down.
Have I ever?
Yeah, well, there's a first time for everything.
Hi, is that Slobodan? Hi, listen, it's Barry Watson from Temptation Recruitment. Are you working at the moment?
Is that pizza? Got your number from your mate Slobodan. Are you working at the moment?
Can you be at the bus stop on the main roundabout on the A14 at 6 tomorrow morning? Passport? We'll leave it for now, there's no time. You are legit?
There'll be some money in it for you, you know, a finder's fee. Great. Get in touch with them, give me a ring back.
Well, it's national minimum wage plus holiday pay to run these payroll companies. They'll be in touch. It's a good rate for loading crisp boxes onto a lorry.
Are you going to ignore me all evening?
Babe, I'm sorry. Look, you crack open the chocolates. It's going to pop to the loo.
Gordon Playwright speaking. How can I help?
Gordon, it's Barry.
All right, mate, you're working late. You sound like you're in a barrel.
Let's just say I'm in a public place. Look, I need you to payroll 12 guys starting tomorrow.
No problem, just give me the names.
Can I give you them tomorrow? Susie's about to walk out of the pub and we're supposed to be patching it up. Or whatever it is.
Good luck, mate. Did you mention our fees?
What, to Susie?
To the guys.
Oh no, they don't know any of that. Usually leave that to you.
What's the rate?
Minimum plus holiday, usual ROI.
ROI?
Return on investment. Your rebate's stupid.
Oh, yeah, sorry. No problem. What's the job? And how much expenses are due?
Well...
Is it GLA work or
look,
construction?
I haven't got time now, mate. I'll ring you tomorrow.
So, what else have you got, Alice?
We've received a complaint from Slobodan Dukic about a mysterious deduction. He claims he's having £20 deducted from his wages and he doesn't know why. Agency standards have spoken to him on the phone and confirmed it's happening each week. He also says he gets expenses. His main concern is the low amount of NIC he's paying and how this will affect his paternity pay and other benefits.
Who's he working for?
Well, he says Summers Foods, but he was contacted by a chap called Barry from Temptation Recruitment. And get this, his pay comes from Brumbrella in Birmingham, and it is Brumbrella who take the fee.
And what did he say about his expenses?
Well, he sent in his payslip.
I can't get these numbers to add up. £50 expenses. He worked 5 days. The employer's NIC figure doesn't look right.
He says he walks to work and takes his own sandwiches.
Well, that's a bit alarming, as he needs to incur an expense on the day of travel and the employer needs to keep records. Brumbrella have a dispensation which we granted about 5 years ago. Perhaps that's worth another look. We don't have any returns because of the dispensation, so it's not so easy to see what's going on. It doesn't appear they've applied to use the benchmark rates for subsistence.
Why do agencies use umbrella companies?
The million-dollar question. The majority of umbrellas try to be compliant and operate in a tax-efficient way as true employers. On the other hand, some umbrellas just think they're a payroll company and take no employment responsibility at all. Now, that's the sort that we're most interested in. The ones who think it's all just a process.
Charlie, it's Brian at Summers. Just wanted to make sure that everything was okay. The guys all arrived on time. Another contract? No problem, I get onto it straight away. Immigration? No problem, Charlie. We don't have anything to do with illegals. Agencies? We have a very tight PSL. Only the best. Okay, speak soon. Illegals. Estelle, get Rick on the phone, will you?
What about the GLA? Do we need to get them involved?
GLA?
The Gangmaster Licence Authority. They provide licences to operate in agriculture, horticulture, the food packaging and processing sectors, and shellfish gathering.
Shellfish gathering?
They were set up after the Morecambe Bay tragedy. They have an important role to play in keeping people safe. There are a number of licensing standards, policed by officers who rigorously test a company's procedures. It's comply or die, so to speak. The Association of Labour Providers is the trade association.
Right. Serious stuff, then.
But absolutely necessary, given the potential for exploitation in these sectors. Non-compliance means removal of the licence.
Which means they can't trade.
Correct. And if Brumbrella isn't licensed, then the agency has a problem. And the hirer of labour has a problem because they are using an unlicensed gangmaster.
Doesn't do much for the reputation of all concerned. What happens then?
Usually prosecution. And they are also interested in potentially exploitative tax schemes, salary sacrifice, national minimum wage, tax compliance, and the charging of work-finding fees.
OK, well, let's see what I can find. It looks as though Brumbrella also operate in the construction industry. They submit monthly CIS returns.
So Brumbrella also builds houses?
I don't think so. They probably have something to do with the subcontracting of the labour on behalf of the agency or the construction company. There may also be an employment status problem here. Anyway, aside from the tax, what have we got from an agency standards perspective?
Well, funnily enough, Temptation Recruitment are due another visit from us.
Another visit?
Yes, we visited the company about 9 months ago and warned them about future conduct. There were How can I put it without being rude?
Insufficient records?
Exactly.
And who else is involved here?
Well, I've spoken to the border agency, and they've identified a few of the names that Slobodan gave us working with him as potentially illegal workers.
Interesting, but I meant who's the client?
Ah, sorry. He thinks they're loading for Waitco, but he wasn't sure.
Oh, yes, I think Summers has just won a new contract from Waitco. Wait a minute. Ah, yes. Here we are. Summers wins Waitco contract. Mr. Brian Ackroyd of Summers Foods shakes hands on a multi-million-pound packing and distribution contract with superstore giant Waitco. Listen to this. We pride ourselves on the highest standards of integrity, which is one of the reasons we were selected for this important strategic partnership.
I'm not sure Waitco would agree with that.
I suggest you start with Slobodan. Take a statement. Get Keith Marshall from our labour provider unit to arrange a routine inspection of the wage records of Brombrella. Carry on with your inspection of Temptation, and I'll give Mr. Ackroyd of Summers a call in a few days, once we've got all the information back.
Unfortunately, Mr. Morientes, I struggle to find a regulation which you have complied with.
Alice. Alice was my mother's name. Like I said, we work in a fast-moving business. We deal in people, not paper. We tried out procedures around some of the stuff you mentioned the last time, but it just didn't work. The lads and lasses just couldn't work with it. Isn't that right, Barry?
Yes, Rick. People, not paper.
You don't seem to understand that these regulations are an important factor in the prevention of exploitation and have to be taken seriously.
Along with all the other regulations, AWR, CIS, NMW, WTR, NIC, PAYE, VAT, not to mention equality. Do you know exactly what we have to put up with in this industry?
That may well be. But you are the work finder here, and importantly, the employer. You find the individual worker and you hire him out.
Now hold on a sec.
I think you'll find that Brombrella is the employer.
And how does that work?
Well,
you have no formal registration process? You do not maintain worker files? You charge work-finding fees?
No, that's Brombrella. We explain all of this to the worker when we take him on, don't we, Barry? And we operate a PSL. We are, in fact, some might say, over-diligent. Barry?
Some might say that, Rick.
Some of the people that we have spoken to claim they didn't know what they were being asked to sign up to. English isn't their native language.
So, what happens next then, Alice?
I shall be writing to you in the strongest possible terms, Mr. Morientes. That is all I can say, for now.
And what do you know about Brombrella from Birmingham?
It was a big tent that went over the cricket pitch at Edgbaston when it was raining. What is this? Who wants to be a millionaire?
No, I mean Brombrella the umbrella.
I've no idea what you're talking about.
I guessed not.
What do you mean?
I understand the Borders Agency visited Waitco HQ today to talk about illegal workers.
What?
Yeah, about half an hour ago, I believe. According to my information, which is a bit sketchy at the moment, they've arrested 30 agency workers at your factory, all with forged passports and ID. It's a joint operation with HMRC, as we think there's a payroll fraud somewhere down the line.
Bloody hell!
Sorry to interrupt, Brian. I've got Charlie from Waitco on the line. He sounds a bit upset. Shall I put him through?
Yes, all right, still. How are you, Charlie? No, quite. Yes, I've got Mr. Appleton here with me now. Yes, he just told me it's very inconvenient. The press? You're joking? No, of course you're not joking. It's not remotely... I'll be right over.
I'll give you a lift.
I don't think that's a good idea. Do you?
Food giant Waitco, which aspires to be one of the big five, has seen the value of its shares tumble overnight, following reports that the company has been employing hundreds of illegal workers at their packing plants. A spokesman for the UK Board Agency told me this situation could have ramifications throughout the food industry.
What does it say, Rick?
Well, give me a chance to open it, will you? Bloody... They say we must cease trading immediately, and they're considering prosecution? I mean, what is all of this about, Barry?
I can't think, Rick.
It's all over the internet.
California, here I come, right back where I started from.
Not bloody kidding.
Sorry?
This is terrible.
Oh, I've got a bit of good news for you. Jack from Winter Foods called and has invited you to the test match at Edgbaston. He says he hopes it's not raining, and then he laughed for some reason. In fact, he laughed quite a lot.
Is that all, Estelle?
Yes. No. Mr. Patterson from the GLA called. He wants to speak to you about an unlicensed gangmaster. What does that mean?
Oh.
Shit.
Brian was dismissed as CEO by Summers Foods and is awaiting trial accused of collaborating in the supply of illegal workers. The firm was heavily fined and issued with a stern warning as to future conduct. Ricardo Morientes is now a junior consultant with Aim High Recruitment after closing down his own business and is facing trial. Barry has opened a new venture selling used cars with extended warranties. Estelle is still working for Summers and still waiting for that American trip. Gordon is running a new business, but that's all we can say because he wanted us to sign a non-disclosure agreement. He did tell us, though, that he had counsel's opinion. Stuart and Alice are researching the next case. Let's hope the sequel is not too close to home. Oh, and Wait Co. They've since reviewed their due diligence process undertaken on all employment businesses, labour providers and contracting businesses. They're being helped by a specialist technical advisor from the Aspire Business Partnership, LLP, based not too far away from Birmingham.